Hi, everyone. So, on today's episode, I have a very special guest. Welcome, Tiziano, who is the founder of the Language of the Soul and a Master Family Constellations practitioner. So, welcome, Tizzy. Welcome to my podcast. You are officially the second guest that I've had on. So, be very lucky.
Thank you, Gillian. I feel lucky and honored to share this space with you. And as I said before, we got along energetically pretty well pretty soon. So I'm happy, to share some time and space with you and some service to other together, of course.
Amazing. Amazing. So, family constellations, for those who are listening or watching, if you're on YouTube, what is family constellations? If people don't know this or have never heard of this concept, tell me a little bit about it.
Family constellation is an observation point of view. So we observe the life of an individual from a systemic point of view. So whatever happened in their life, we observe their family of origin. Not only talking Jill about spirituality, but also from a genetic point of view, we know now, side of quantum physics, but also epigenetic now, a knowledge to us that we carry the genome of our ancestors. So that is why when we cut our body in whatever way we do, our body knows how to restore the skin, the natural order of biology, because we have that memory within our cells. So we don't to a physical level. So with family observation, we observe all the patterns that are unconscious to us, and we pursue them out of what we call loyalty. So perhaps we are loyal to our mother who has excluded our father, and we keep finding a representative of our father to include who was excluded in our system of belonging. So family constellation really is an observation. We observe the morphogenetic field, the movement that happen within us, and obviously the representatives during the workshop, and we understand why we pursue certain failures, certain careers, certain patterns, certain dynamics. And I think it is extraordinary the level of understanding that we reach today through this practice, now becoming more and more and more worldwide on the surface. And myself and my team and all the people that have helped me over these years. We have brought a lot of understanding through our video, through our sharing. And yeah, that's what I'm here to do, to bring more of this to the surface, Jill.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, with my work, I work a lot with inner child wounds. I work a lot with past lives, ancestral wounds as well. So I completely understand the impact and the nature of our ancestors, the things that we carry in our DNA, in our cells, the beliefs, the emotions, the trauma, and how that can unconsciously impact us, our lives, and our relationships. So I completely understand, like, the impact and the power of this. And there's more and more people that are becoming awakened to like ancestral trauma and how much that does impact us. So, how did you get into this? Like, how did you even find out about family constellations? And then, how then did you decide that you wanted to move into it from like a work perspective?
I'm an extremely curious individual, Jill. So if you tell me that there is an elephant flying out of the window, I won't say no, I will go and check. So, because as you know, we know each other personally. So I had a very bumpy upbringing from very extreme experience from very young ages. One day, a friend of mine in 2017 told me, you had a lot of extreme experiences in your life, major death, knife, violence, jail. Maybe not everything that comes from you as a persona, but you might carry something from your system of belonging. There is this German psychotherapist called Bert Hellinger who has developed this practice called family constellation, and there are several individuals who are doing that here in Sydney or outside it. Maybe take a look. So I decided to take a look. It was another moment of my life, a pinnacle moment, Jill, where another things happened to me. I went in profound debt with one of my company, and I just had the call, Jill, to improve myself, to become a better person. I've always been driven to improve myself. that is a call that I always had, and yeah, so everything that was coming to the surface at the time, it was like pulling me. So I went to do this workshop, and eventually it did change my life forever. I had a huge release that day and understanding of why I was pursuing certain dynamic. In that case, was financial. And then I felt that I was really intuitive, cold to it, empathetic, like, I had my gift. Let's say that I discovered my inner gift. That at the time, I was a professional kickboxer. That's how I got my visa here in Australia, passport. And so everything was about the body and training hard and this and that. And I've always been in the fighting industry. But where a inner gift was not to be trained or developed, but it was actually already there. Different than kickboxing, which I was good, but I was good because I was training hard and this and that. So instead, this inner gift of mine of in being intuitive or perceiving was natural. So I understood that that was my path. I've been pulled there. I always say I didn't decide to become an observer, a family constellator. Family constellator took me. Family constellations only took me. It
Yeah.
was not me taking them, but it was them taking me. And
Yeah.
now it's long journey, 6 years. Here we are.
It's always the case, I find, with everyone that's moved into like become a practitioner in any kind of spiritual or healing modalities. It was never like the intention. It was the same for me, you know. I never intended to do this full time. You know, I had another very successful career and I had my own business. And it was just through my own healing. And, you know, you get the pull. It's like spirit awakens. You go through your awakening, right? And you start your own healing journey. And it's like often the things that helped us, we feel so called to then help other people because that's how we're of service, right? Our intuitive gifts open, our healing gifts open, and then that just leads the way to our purpose. And it's like those little breadcrumbs lead us to what we're meant to do and ultimately who we're meant to serve. And I do believe it's like if we hadn't gone through the pain, the hardships, and the transformations through these healing processes, most of us that are healers in this life would not choose that path. It's like we have to feel it at such a deep core level to walk this path because it's not easy, right? So I feel like you're very much the epitome of the healer's journey.
Accurate, accurate. I always say you give from a point of embracing. You are giving what you have become. This is why, as you are aware, we know each other. I'm not really a fan, a big supporter of diploma, degree, or any form of paper statement that say you are this. You are this when you have become it.
Mhm.
Okay, so we attract what we vibe. So it doesn't matter if I vibe a stamp on the wall that say I'm 5, if inside I vibe at 2. But if I have no stamp on the wall and I vibe at 8, so I vibrate and I attract the people that they need those 8 and this 8. And eventually, that is what I believe. I always believe that we give out of embodiment. The
Mhm.
more we embody, and the more we are able to share with others. The only difference in that is courage. Embodiment always require an act of courage, as you share, Jill. We need to go through something in order to give it to others.
Beautiful. And that goes such a nice segue. So my tagline is I offer spiritual growth for the rebel soul. Like I connect with that so much because that is, I feel like I am the embodiment of the rebel soul. And all of my clients, the people that are attracted to me, have those traits as well. So for you, I'd love to know what your adaptation or your thoughts are around what a rebel soul is.
Well, I really like the statement, also because, as you know, I've been extremely rebellious all over my life. However, if I wanna turn it into good and share what I think about a rebel, is doing something different, doing something that breaks a loyalty, for example. My mother had, I give you an example, now many ladies they can hear, men they can relate to it. My mother had an horrible an honorable experience with men, perhaps even with my father, what I do, I rebel towards her and I find a good man who I can have an harmonious life. How do I rebel, Jill? I rebel out of betraying her. So I betray my loyalty towards her. So I ask her to love me more. This is an act of guilt. I always say, unconsciously, I say to my mother, Mother, would you still love me even if I don't find an horrible man like you did and I find a good man? This is to take from my mother. Many people say betrayal is a horrible act. Not really. In this statement, in this context, is an act of love. I ask my mother more. Would you still love me even if I embrace a man who is white rather than yellow, as you did? So
Hmm.
for me, turning a rebel soul, rebellious soul, is to turn into harmony from a situation of disharmony. Maybe in your family have pursued their life in such a way, and you do in another way. That is an act of rebellion, which is a rebellion in good.
Hmm.
When is rebellion not in good? When it is pursued towards nothing, towards nowhere. People they rebelling just because they want to rebel without a purpose behind it. That is a disharmonious act. I always say rebellious people are people distant from their father, from authority, because when they get closer to their father, they rebel, but with a purpose. They rebel for a cause, they rebel
Hmm.
for a purpose. Systemically, we call this a rebel with no cause. A
Yeah.
rebel with no cause. And yeah, that is a big difference between one with a cause and one without a cause.
Yeah. I love that you've actually made that based on the teachings of family constellations because for people that don't know family constellations, that's what just happened there. Because for me it's like the rebel soul, like you said, you can be rebellious without a purpose, and that's a very different context, which probably both of us at some point in our lives absolutely were. But then it's like when we
Without a doubt.
100%. My dad can confer. But then when,
We both are.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then when you find
Both have been, yeah.
for sure, but then it's like the way that I see it now, and the people that I work with who are rebel souls are the people that are turning that into going through their healing process, finding the courage, wanting to live authentically, not afraid to go against the grain for what they believe in. Those are the rebel souls that are really here to change like their life and the lives of others. So but I also love that you've made that into a family constellations like example. So go into that a little bit more to help people understand like the things that family constellations can really support and help with. Like maybe if there's like client examples, or maybe something in your own life that you've been able to transform. Like, what was the problem? What occurs in a family constellation? And then what's like the outcome? Because again, it's like there's so many spiritual and healing modalities out there, and sometimes it can be quite hard for people to get their head around it. And some things are not meant to also be explained in detail, also, because that's where the magic happens in sessions, I understand. But yeah, can you give like anything that's tangible around how this could work for someone that's maybe going through some problems in their life? Like I know you said, you had debt, for example. Is that one of the things that family constellations can help with? You're going through like they gave the example of your mother, you're repeating the cycles of your mother had a toxic relationship and you're repeating the toxic relationships with the same types of partners. Is that what we're talking about here that family constellations can really support with?
100%, Jill. Let me give you a straight example for you to for everybody to understand what is behind the word love. Because many people they don't in order to understand love, you need to understand the laws of conscience. Conscience is this compound force that keeps the groups together, the individual in their belief in the same group, in the same compound force, and they move towards certain belief and idea, way of being. For example, a family is a group. consciously or unconsciously, you behave as your family. But let me give you an example of this and the differentiation between love and conscience, okay, and loyalty. That's the major one. Let's say that we have a girl or a woman who she's loyal to her mother. She's loyal. Why? Because her mother kept her alive. Unconsciously, we know that our mother kept us alive. But her mother has excluded her father, or she hates her father. What's going to happen to this girl? So, this girl is loyal to her mother, but silently, she loves her father. Why? Because to a soul level, she's 50-50. She's loyal 50 to her mother, 50 to her father. So she keeps her loyalty for her mother because she kept her alive. However, silently, she loves her father. So she seeks for him, she gasps for him, she adores him, she identifies with him. What's going to happen to this girl in a relationship? This young, beautiful girl, she will settle for a partner who is suitable to her mother, but she will silently love, gasp, and adore the man, the partner who her mother does not like. So perhaps this lady, she will always have double choice in her life. She will settle for the one that her mother likes, but silently she will love the one who is just like her father.
Mm.
Okay? So this is the difference between love and loyalty. Loyalty drives her to settle for someone who is suitable to her group, her mother in this case, her mother, her group of friends, so the system of belonging towards her mother. However, her deep passion, her deep love, her deep pull will be for that guy who probably broke her heart, just as her father did to her and to her mother too. Make sense what I said?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the difference between love and loyalty, and that's why people cannot really understand love if they do not understand the laws of conscience, if they do not understand the laws that are running silently behind the family system. And
Mm.
this is a case that is very common to me because how many girls they are falling in love with the naughty boy, but then eventually they settle for someone who is not that naughty. However, they think and they are driven always towards the naughty boy. Why? Because the naughty boy represents the excluded one. So
Mm.
unconsciously, love seeks to reunite that which has been separated. So
Mm.
on the surface, yes, they are in a relationship with the one that their mother like, but on the deeper level, they are driven towards the excluded one. To reunite what was separated from their mother. This is an example of loyalty and love, the difference.
Yeah, and I think probably so many people that have been in unhealthy or let's say toxic relationships or in, in this modern dating age for young people with dating apps and ghosting and non-committalness, it's like it's such an epidemic of these, let's say, bad boys or bad girls or, like unhealthy partners. So I think probably a lot of people can relate to that. And actually, probably something like, would people come to you with a specific issue in their life? Like, for example, a girl that had settled for someone but wants a bad boy, she probably wouldn't necessarily consciously think that's a problem. However, someone may come to you because they keep attracting the bad boy and they can't even find a good person too. Is that kind of more what people come and want support and help with? Like, how conscious are people
My
of?
specialty my specialty is relationship and eventually financial abundance and every kind of dynamic drives. This is a bit of my specialty where I work the most. However, yes, people come to me with any kind of issue. Obviously, the relationship topic, Jill, is the one ahead on top of it. Why? Because relationships are the point of attention that allow us to evolve the most. The reason is the other person is showing something about us that perhaps we are not aware.
Mm.
Let me give you little, for example, introduction of the terminology toxic relationship.
Mhm.
What we consider systemically as toxic, Jill, is not reciprocal, not reciprocated. So you give me five and I give you one. This is a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
I give you three, you give me one. This is a toxic relationship, okay? Now, the question would be to this beautiful lady, why you keep giving five and receive one? Because your mother is perhaps your mother has always pursued her life by giving to her current partner or your father five and receive one. And
Mhm.
why she did that? Because she had an absent father and she didn't feel her value. So she feels value by saving someone else, by mothering someone else. Why? Because she's absent of value, because her father never seen her. So from the moment that I bring back this grandfather, this father to her mother in front of her, and I allow the value to be perceived, in this case would be the sadness of that absent value, this mother, this woman will cry out this sadness. And what have I done? What have we done? We reunited what was separated. We allow love to flow where the flow was interrupted. In that state, in that experience, this woman can set herself free and find a man who is suitable for her for an adult love, which is reciprocal. I give you one, you give me two. I give you three, you give me four. I give you five, you give me six. This is a love that grows up, 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 and it becomes an empire. This is an harmonious relationship where love is reciprocal plus one. Why plus one? Because when I give you plus one, you feel an inner pressure generated by guilt to give me plus two. And I give you plus three. And you give me plus four. And I give you plus five. So it's a constant. Love is intelligent. This field is informed and it seeks to grow whatever encounter love has with itself, a person to person. So this is an harmonious relationship.
So in a family constellation session, if someone comes to you with that type of dynamic, you can uncover where, let's say, the broken bond is within that family system and ultimately heal it or bring awareness to it, or communicate with that dynamic energetically, to heal it, right? And therefore that
We
can
understood
break the pattern and therefore break that person's pattern.
that is very correct. We understood, Jill, that this field is informed. So when we bring an information inside, we seize the effect of it. So if the missing information is the presence of the father, from the moment that we bring it in energetically, we seize its effect on our physical body, on our life experience. This is what we acknowledge and Bertellinger brought to the surface. Now is worldwide known. We see it even on Netflix. So now we understood the capacity of the soul. But if you want to be a little bit more scientific, you and I, for your viewers, we understood how the morphogenetic field works through a scientific lens, which can be quantum physics, for example. Very simple with that. So yes, when people come to me with whatever dynamic and we bring the dynamic into representation and we allow love to flow again, this manifests into their life existence, into their physicality. Let me give you a simple example now for everybody to understand
I
this.
love an example.
Imagine, imagine, Jill, we have a big house. No, we have a huge house, and this house has 8 rooms. So in 7 rooms, the light is on. That room is financial. The other room is drives. The other room is my wife. The other room is the children. But then there is this room, which is, for example, relationship with my co-workers, where the light is off. So every time I go to work, I have problem with my boss, with my co-worker. So I have issue in this dynamic.
Yeah.
So what we do as healer, as observer, we come into this house as electrician. So we bring the cable back together and we allow the light to flash again in that particular room. This is what we do. This is an example that I made up and I wrote it in my book also because it's very easy to understand. In life, you have many rooms: finance, relationship, work, drives, sports, body. So if in one of those relationships the light is off, we need to understand where the cable got broken or cut. As a healer, we go there and we
Hmm.
fix those cables and the light comes in again. Fantastic. That's
Yeah.
it.
I love that analogy. I'm like all over analogies and something that's really visual for people. It just helps so much.
Yes.
We fix the broken
Yes.
wires.
Yes. There
And
you
like
go.
you
There
said,
you go.
it's great. The
You
electrician is great because it is
know.
energetic, right? It's
That's
like
right.
all of it is energetic. The beliefs that we have, the patterns, the dynamics, the emotions, the trauma, it's all just energetic, right? So, and I love that you brought the bring the love in because that is the way that I work as well. It's like unconditional, universal love is the only thing that is truly healing. And that's the energy that I work with all of my clients as well. And I love that with the work that you do as well, it's finding that root cause because there's always an origin source of like the disruption, let's say. And it's, it's in and it's finding that. And for me, it's the same. It's when I tune into the energetic field, I'm able to see exactly and pinpoint exactly where that origin like breakage is, whether that's a particular time from childhood. And of course, it's never just one, right? It's all because we're so interconnected, there's always multiple things. There's past lives, there's the ancestral piece, there's their environmental piece. We're so multifaceted and multidimensional. Um, so what I want to ask you, it's like if someone comes in for a session and you work on this particular, let's say, breakage within the family line that is causing them certain stuckness or challenges in certain rooms of their life. How how effective is that like long term? Is that something that they need to come back and do work on other aspects of their family line or their generational line? Or, is one session like a real transformational experience for them? Like, do you have any things that you can talk about in terms of client transformations or things that are just like, wow, this has shifted the next day, or I found my
Yes.
partner the next week kind of thing?
I do, I do. I have, I'm lucky enough to have beautiful review and experience live on my website. Even lumps disappear after even a week. A 7 year relationship broken the day after. So there are the process of family constellation, Jill, is called phenomenological. Is a Roman psychotherapy that is called phenomenological. So we observe the phenomena of the morphogenetic field. So we don't know how it unfolds. We don't know the time that it unfolds, but we know it does. So of course, if you have a problem with in a relationship, it could be that you come to me and you fix this problem yourself, obviously by coming and pursue the healing the day after. Or it could be that it take 3 months or 6 months, 9 months. But eventually, I want to give you a simple concept, Gil, that everybody understands something. In life, you have only two issues. One is your father and one is your mother, because you have only two systems in which you come down to. One is the one of your father, one is the one of your mother. Now, in those two systems, there are many hiccups. There might be many hiccups. So we work on one hiccup, and the year after you come for another hiccup. Or we work on this hiccup, but there's need another little womb balming on that hiccup. So you might come after a month, after 4 weeks, after 6 weeks. It's really up to you, Jill. The call of an individual to come and pursue a session is very much up to the individual. This is one of the reasons why I don't pursue long-term, like, oh, why you don't do packages? I don't do packages because it's not the nature of my work. I cannot work with you in 10 weeks unless you want to learn theoretically from me, which you can do in other way. But it's unnecessary, Jill, that you come to me and I say, Jill, you want to come for 10 sessions, buy a package? No, you can't do that. I can't do that because I would go off integrity. You
Mhm.
come to me when your soul has a call for it. So perhaps you see my ads on Facebook, on YouTube, your friends tell you, oh, I know this guy, blah, blah, blah. You hear my funny Italian accent and you get drawn to it. Whatever situation, but you are drawn to it. I'm not taking you in. I have something that you need. So from the moment that I have something that you need, I simply attract you. I'm magnetic.
Mhm.
That's my place to be. Healthy and magnetic. This is what I say. What's your training? The training of an healer is to heal himself.
Mhm.
That's why I invest the majority of my money into healing.
Yeah.
of any kind, from acupuncture, man works, tantra. So everything is about healing. Why? Because I'm a healer. So
100%.
I'm not there yet. My father is a healer. I'm the junior one, but I that's what I do. That's what I aim to be. Yeah.
And I love that because that just so resonates with me. And it's as a healer, it's like I have this amount of integrity that it's like I have to continue to develop myself and shift all the things that I need to shift so I can show up with integrity for my clients and for who I'm here to serve. But of course, most of all for me, and it's healing like the everything that you do, as we know, is like healing the lines before us and behind us, right? So it's like super powerful. And another thing you said, which I love, I mean, because I went down this route, right? For 11 and a half years, I studied, like 11 different spiritual and healing modalities. I dove myself into it from healing myself to then training in it. But what I believe now is, and how I teach my students who are learning to develop their psychic and healing abilities is it's you need to trust your intuition. So the first thing is for you to awaken your own abilities, your own intuitive and healing abilities, because you are so unique. You cannot learn what you are here to do in a Reiki course or an energy healing course because that is someone else's like gift to the world. You can use that as like a platform, but what you're here to do is so unique to you. You have the energy, you have the gifts, you have the experiences that no one else in this world has. And it's really for you to bring them out and have the confidence to create something that is so uniquely you. And I love that you've done that, with family constellations, from what I understand, is, you really like went deep into it to know it's like so I know Tizzy and I know how committed he is to family constellations and probably one of the most knowledgeable people that I've seen understanding that practice. But through doing that, it seems like you've kind of created your own unique method and version that is just uniquely you, right? Which is, what is it called?
The language of the soul.
The language of the soul. And tell me a little bit about of how that's morphed into your unique like magic, your unique essence.
Thank you, Jill, also for acknowledging this. And really, first of all, I really appreciate, but also I am extremely in resonance with what you share. So I did understand over the year that my capacity of inner statement and phrases were the majority of time what was bringing the healing. So I could be at the supermarket and I could state a simple phrase like "I die for you" to someone else, and I could ask them, "Can you repeat them?" Sometimes they couldn't because they were starting to cry. So my capacity and gift is to perceive the statement that makes the shift. They allow loves to flow again where the flow was interrupted. The statement that what was not said at the time of whatever trauma, dynamic, wound, or is not stated at this given moment. And by acknowledging and stating this, I could really bring the shift, a 365 shift to the other person. So from that point, I call it the language of the soul because I feel I am spoken extremely profoundly within from a soul level. And those statements are a language, but which language is the language of the soul? Because sometimes I make people state, "I die for you," something that they would never say consciously, but they are saying it from a soul point of view. This is why I call it the language of the soul. The practice of family constellation is naturally bound to movement. So instead of it, I brought it to words. So I changed the dynamic into movement, which obviously cannot be always pursued, particularly online, from stating. And out of those statements, the session, which is, for example, Pursue Online, is extremely quick. In 10 minutes, we have done a shift which took some people 10 years of psychology, talking and this and that. But the same capacity comes into a room. So when there are people in the field, they don't need to wait or to embrace the movement in full because sometimes by expressing it,
Mhm.
they start the movement itself, shifting, crying, smiling, running. So we see the dynamic out of words. Obviously, sometimes, Jill, in particular dynamic, I would say that the movement is almost necessary. And that's why some movements, when they are important, come into the workshop in person. But thousands, now over 10,000 of people worldwide, they have experienced it with me online and they do it every day. And the capacity of a simple statement in 3 minute session, it's a life-changing experience. So this is why the language of the soul.
I love that. Yeah, and what is the purpose of spirit or the soul in your work? Like, obviously it's called the language of the soul, so has a huge purpose.
Yes, yes.
But
And it has an important purpose, and this is also an intelligent question. I do differentiate, Jill, the spirit and the soul. The
Mhm.
spirit is this great intelligence, which we could call it scientifically the morphogenetic field. So is the entire package. The soul is something within the package, is a part of this spirit. What is the difference between the spirit and the soul? The spirit incarnates into the body to experience itself through the body. So sometimes people tell me, oh, ayahuasca, mushroom, they do some very spiritual experience, but the most spiritual experience is actually the body, the one of the soul, because the soul is experiencing itself through the body. And experiencing the cut on your arm, the breakup, the difficult job, the violent father, that is love experiencing itself under that particular point of attention. So this is the definition that I give to spirit, soul, and what's the reason of the soul experiencing itself. For example, now the spirit is experiencing itself through Tiziano and Jill. So experiencing you through this call allow me to experience a point of attention of me, of love. Whatever you make me feel is that point of attention of me, which is in resonance with you.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so beautiful. Like the more, the more that I hear about everyone's unique gifts and how they are here to express themselves in the world through their own modalities, like it just fills me with so much joy because I really do believe like this is what I'm here to help not only facilitate in the new healers, but also to almost like bring the other healers that have those same the rebel souls, right? That have those same beliefs that are here to kind of break the mold and create something so uniquely them. And I totally resonate with the power of words. That's actually how I do a lot of my healing as well. It's channeling psychically and energetically and moving the energy, but also moving the energy through words. So the fact that you do that and also it's very resonant to how I work with energy is really cool, actually. So I love that. Um, and where if someone felt like they were interested in doing family constellations, or were at kind of this place of their life where they know that they want to shift some things or they want some healing, what's like the best advice that you could give them?
You will come or you will go to experience from me, from somebody else, or anybody when you are desperate enough.
Mm,
I always say the most important, the most open client that a therapist can see, feel, experience is the one desperate enough. So, desperation is the most important PowerPoint for a therapist to see if the other person is really willing to change. When someone is desperate enough, even if they have lived the 45 years of their life in green, they are willing the 36th one to change it in blue. But when someone is not desperate enough and they're grasping on some little nest, I call this coping mechanism, ego coping mechanism mask, life needs to break them further in order for them to really, really embrace the change they need. So when you're gonna experience family constellation, when you wanna change,
yeah,
when you're willing to change, you are willing to experience family constellation.
yeah,
If when you are willing to change is when you are desperate enough.
yeah.
That's the tricky part.
Is so true. And I find that those moments are generally the spiritual awakening, the catalytic moments, right?
That's
And
right.
often
That's right.
comes with loss, right? Loss of
Oh
money,
yeah.
home, job, relationships. Like my biggest growth has been through relationship breakups. And I'm like, yep, here we go again. Here's another level. And I call it like another level, another devil, because it's like, even with our growth in general, it's like we go to the next level, right? And it's like there's always new challenges and always new like a new devil to like uncover that we need to work through, because there's been so many times I hear clients go, oh, I thought I worked through that, or I thought that I mastered this, or why is this coming back? And it's like, because the more you grow, the more that you have to like shed and uncover. So, like for someone that's listening to this and curious about, their family dynamics, let's say, what can they do to start maybe uncovering some patterns or uncovering some like entanglements in their own family system? Like, is there anything that you can suggest?
There is, it's curiosity.
Mm,
Someone needs to be curious. They needs to be curious and ask question that they know. I call them aggressively or arrogant. So don't ask how your mother has pursued sex with your father, but perhaps you can ask, what happened to your grandmother, what happened to your mother, what happened to your great grandmother. So engage in curiosity into their family, because I guarantee you, Jill, that even under a simple dinner, they can reunite dynamic and bring to the surface somebody who was forgotten simply by speaking of it, of him, of her. So yeah, what I really saying to people is always pursue those pattern with pursue those idea, these healing modalities with curiosity. Curiosity is really what leads me where I am, and I constantly go ahead with it because I'm curious.
mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, I whatever comes to me that brings me curiosity, like, oh, this guy speak about seed retention. I want to do it. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Let me see how I feel with that. So everything is about curiosity, Jill, for me. And we should live life with curiosity, and curiosity keep our eyes sparkly. That's what I always say. Like somebody who is curious about life is always sparkling in their eyes.
Yeah, I love that. And what if someone has that curiosity, right? And they want to start asking more of these open-ended questions to their parents about their upbringing, about, what they saw in their parents' marriage, about, what their idea of love and marriage was from what they experienced. What if they start to go to their parents with these types of questions? And as I'm sure you know, there's a lot of people in this world that are not open, that are not open to having and not even open, but just like for a lot of our parents' generation, let's say, right? They've never had that level of inquiry, right? They've never had the skills, the emotional availability and skills to be able to be curious and question each other. So most of our parents are, if they're even in relationship with each other still, they might have been in relationship for 40, 50 years, but actually don't know each other at a deep, intimate level because they don't have the skills to be curious or question in the right way to really truly understand each other, right? But what if, there's someone that's starting their awakening journey and wants to get more curious about their parents' past or their upbringing, but their parents kind of shut them down. What would you suggest to those people?
I suggest that they already have an answer. I encourage them strongly to move and do some form of work and to understand the reason why that is as such. Why? Because if they do not understand the reason themselves, Jill, their children will. And most probably they will turn that reason towards them as parents. So children are really always the perfect children for their parents, as their parents are always the perfect children, the perfect parents for the children, to whatever experience they have decided to do. So children show us what we haven't seen. So
Mm-hmm.
children are the eyes towards the future. We are the solid basement as parents. I'm not parent yet, but parents are the solid basement as parents, and children are the eyes towards the future. So if your parents are shutting down and don't want to speak about something, you might almost certainly sure find something there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And have you seen, obviously, the work that you've done, have you seen the dynamic with your parents shift and change over that time? Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
If you consider that my parents divorced when I was 7 slash up to 11 in a violent marriage, my
Hmm.
father was violent physically with my mom, and now they are absolutely cool. My father is married with another woman. My mom, she's by herself, but they go along very well. They constantly speak together. They become very friendly. They even hug each other, considering they were punching each other. Now they hug each other. So yeah, it's been a great success for my family, for me, for everybody. We are much more united since I have approached this beautiful modality and
Yeah.
my healing journey.
And they are they open to having conversations with you around what it is that you do? Because I know that's a really difficult thing for a healer, right? Because it's like we have all of it's like we can see all of these things and these patterns in our parents, and we want to have those open dialogues with them. And are they receptive to those? Are they receptive to seeing things about themselves that you can come and give this beautiful perspective on?
They do very much, Jill. I have to thank also my sort of success out of it because I've been lucky enough to be just recently on an Italian newspaper. They've been so proud of it, and they printed this big page. Considering the last time I was on this newspaper was because I was arrested, so
Okay.
for them was a major success. But also, my mom, she has started to do family constellation sessions herself with some of my with actually I took her to the person that I learned the most when I was years ago, and still the person that I admire the most in the field. And my father is a very deep person, so he understands what I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I speak very openly about it, and I have to say that I still take advice from them, not the way around. But my mom, she always said that I changed my life, her life, because I've helped her a lot. I think I've just been myself, and yeah, we have brought healing to each other. But my mother, she's very devoted to what I do. Like she thank me all the time. She speak about how hard was the time of COVID for her if it wasn't for me. And he ended up that without me saying nothing and me doing nothing, they actually didn't get vaccinated themselves. Like they've gone on their own journey.
Mm,
And yeah, I'm open with them. My dad and my mom. I'm 37, Jill, so at the moment it's more my dad that I speak to,
yep,
but my mom, I adore her, so all good.
amazing. And for you, obviously, what are your beliefs around how family constellations can help not only, like I said, the previous generations, our family that are still alive or even past, and our future generations? When we're talking about the family line, what is like the legacy and the impact that you want or believe that family constellations can offer both sides of the generational sphere?
That is a beautiful question. It brings freedom, Jill. It brings freedom to the dead one, that they are able to live this realm of experience and be free into the field, go back in what we would call the spirit, because we drag a lot of dead one on us due to unsaid, unexperienced emotion. So we are attached on the etheric level. This is not more woo-woo experience, but it's actually quite of a scientific understanding. We attach to many dead soul from an etheric point of view, and we don't set them free from the field. So we experience disharmony in the field, but also we change the future generations by bringing harmony into the family tree. So when we bring harmony into the family tree, imagine a tube, Jill, no? Where there are resistance into the tube, so the water cannot flow freely. But actually, by removing those resistances, the water can flash down again, and life is experienced without bumpy dynamics, which I have many, and I don't encourage.
We'll
They
continue
were
to
useful,
because
but
this is
yeah,
life. And I think
I
this is
know
life, right? Life will always throw you bumps and curves because it's for our growth. But I guess
it
it's
is
having the tools, to be able to navigate those a little bit more with grace, a little bit more with ease, and hopefully not as bumpy
accurate.
the next time. Um,
Accurate, Jill. Even if let me say something to this. Bert Hellinger taught us that the more difficult is the system, the more extraordinary the life of individual. So I consider my life extremely extraordinary for what has happened so far till now because my system was very difficult. So that is what I want to acknowledge, and it's fun. It has been fun so far.
Yeah. I know, I feel you. I feel like I could write a book like my life so far. So, and I feel like I feel like that's, if you're drawn to this work as a healer, you've gone through some shit. Like you've transmuted and you have like really stood in your power and you've had to, you know, and walk a path that many will never ever walk. And this is why, again, I'm like, it's the rebel souls. It's the ones that are gonna go against the status quo, that have the courage, the bravery to really just try and be authentic in everything that they do. And for most of our lives, we were like for a lot of rebel souls, we were never able to do that. There was levels of conformity, levels of, frustration, whatever it was. And it's like, how do we move that again? Like you said, the beautiful analogy of the rebel from like a more negative standpoint and transmute it into the rebel traits of something that's really empowering and powerful. So yeah, I love that. So for everyone that is listening and everyone that's like, oh my God, this sounds amazing, where can everyone find you? And what have you got coming up that people can like dive into or consume or work with you? Tell us what's going on.
So where they can find me is primarily on Instagram
Hmm.
at Tiziano_Sguerso, which is Tiziano_Sguerso. Then they can find me also on Facebook, Tiziano Sguerso, The Language of the Soul. My website is quite big at the moment. We have online systemic library workshop worldwide, www.tizianosguerso.com. What is upcoming for this year? So, 1st and 2nd of March, I'm going to be in Queensland, Varsity Lakes, for a 2-day workshop. The following week here in Sydney, another 2 days workshop. Then I have Melbourne and Perth in May. Then I will start my trip in Europe, which is gonna be August, as I said, will be holidays, as spoken to you. But I have September, which we have 3 dates. So it will be Italy, Slovenia, and Switzerland, and that will be in September. So all the month of September, I'm around Europe for these 3 workshops, and they can find me online. People who are far from here, from me, or whatever, they're not coming in person. And then I will restart in Australia in October 2025. Next year, we have planned USA, and also England. So
Amazing.
yeah, there's a lot on the plate at the moment, and also we are confident that by November 2025 we will release my first systemic book, which is called Sparkles of Love.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's very exciting. So many exciting plans for you. I'm like so proud of you and seeing all the amazing
Thank
things
you,
that
Jill.
you're doing and all the amazing like people that you're helping. So I'll put everyone that's listening or watching, I'm gonna put all of Tidsy's details in the show notes so you can find him very easily. And if you're called to work with him one-on-one, online or in person, or attend one of the workshops. So just for everyone to know, the workshops are where you can go and be part of the facilitation of the healing within a group setting. One-on-one is powerful, but also the group is really powerful, and it has such a different essence and energy, right, when we work in groups. So as you heard, he is doing all of that all around the world. So wherever you are in the world, you can access him wherever and however you want, really. So I guess on a parting note, is there anything that you want to leave the audience with? Any little nuggets of wisdom, any pieces of advice, what was your book's name again? I feel like that,
Yes,
any little sprinkles of
Sparkles of Love.
any sparkles
Sparkles of
of
Love.
love. Yeah. What
Yes,
sparkles of
and
love do you want to leave everyone with?
two little things. The first one in embrace life with courage and learn to stay with what is.
Mm.
Learn to stay with what is means that when you in the morning you wake up a bit depressed or down or whatever, don't try to escape that depression. Don't go and take your coffee, take your heat, take your smoke. Stay with that depression as long as the feel is working within you in that way. When there is the natural shift of it, there will be something up that you learn from this depression, and it will be generated naturally and biologically from your body. So don't escape from what is.
It's so true. It's like so many of the planet just goes on autopilot, right? We're just going throughout our day on autopilot, which is run by our unconscious. And, unless we've done a lot of work on ourselves, that unconscious is limiting beliefs, the negativity, the negative thoughts. And as we know, the our thoughts, our beliefs, our inner world creates our reality. So having that moment of presence in the body and just fucking feeling it and just being in it is what so many people like run from. And I love that. And doing this in the morning just can shift your whole reality, guys. Honestly, just being present, allowing what is, and and even then reprogramming it and just setting an intention. It's like, no, you have the power to change that. Yes, this is how I feel right now, but I can consciously change that. I can set the intention for how I want to feel, but not from a bypassy place, feel the feelings. I love that. Amazing. So
Thank you,
thank
Jill.
you.
Was a pleasure. And an experience of it was us this morning, for example, that I didn't feel to record at 10 and I told you, can we please postpone because I didn't feel it at the time. So that was me stating what is. And I acknowledge to you, which you were very receptive and caring and you understood. That's why we record, because we are on the same field. So we are on the same resonance. And we have done a
Mhm.
beautiful sharing today. And I hope, to have served many people, which I'm confident about.
Yeah. And I love that as well. So for everyone that didn't fully get that, it was we were supposed to record this earlier in the day, but Tizzy was like hadn't had a lot of sleep. And I know from being a healer, sleep is the one thing that like will knock me off my game. To be able to channel, like if I am low of energy, it's like because this is an energetic exchange, like it really impacts us. And I think because we've both come to a point where it's like we express our needs, and because we're both feelers, we're like, I get it. Like, let's do it when it both aligns, when
You
it
got it, yeah.
and there's so many people again,
Thank
and
you,
this
G.
is a lesson for people to be like, especially if you're empathic, especially if you are intuitive in nature, like trust your feelings and don't feel guilty for expressing what you need in that moment. If that person gets upset that you've canceled or that person gets upset that you're rescheduling, then maybe they're not fully in alignment with you. And this is, again, I want to preface this because a lot of my audience are empaths, are healers, are intuitives. And it's just giving yourself permission to show up and feel the way that you feel. This is what I do with all of my friends. It's like we won't make plans. We will like touch in on that day, on that like hour that we're meant to meet and go, how are you flowing? How are you feeling? Like, are you feeling it? And there is no judgment there. There is no like, oh, you don't want to see me, or, nobody's taking anything personally. It's like I'm honoring and respecting my feelings because we're so easy to ignore our feelings, right? And it's a whole other conversation we could probably go into. But I will leave everyone with this and just want to say thank you so much for your time, your energy, your wisdom, your experience. It's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much, Dizzy.
Same, Jill. Thank you, and see you next.
Amazing.